Welcome back to our WHTOOO channel. I'm Raynard Burrell, a content creator and founder of WHTOOO. For those of you who are new to the channel, let me tell you what WHTOOO stands for. WHTOOO stands for We Have to Own Our Own Shit. But now, not the typical cuss word shit. This was spelled SHYT. The S stands for scalability because we don't just want to start a business, we want to grow a business. H stands for honoring the ancestors whose shoulders we stand upon. Y is you are your brand. A person is going to buy you before they buy any product or service you offer. And T stands for tenacity because being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart. With that being said, we have an exciting show today. We have Amari Davis. She is the CEO of the Sondera Group, and she will explain all of that to you. She is a very bright young lady, full of energy and a passion for what she does. So, with that being said, good morning, Amari. How are you today?
Good morning, Mr. Reynard, and I would just like to thank you for inviting me up here today. It's been an honor and an opportunity that I just could not turn down. Really wanted to be a part of the WHTOOO group and in their training interview. So it's just been an honor to be here. A little bit about me. My name is Amari Davis. I played collegiate basketball for 2 years, and after I graduated, I just wanted to get into AI because I saw that that's where the workforce was heading towards. So, after numerous videos on YouTube, I stumbled across an AI receptionist video where it uses Go High Level in order to produce uh, phone calls and AI agent to answer the phone calls 24/7 to replace the receptionist job and that payroll for small business owners who are probably just struggling getting up there. So it's just a good substitute for them to have that instead of a big server that can cost $50,000 in for these big companies to produce. So once I started that, it's just been a journey getting to the point where I am now, getting my LLC, my EIN, and being around the people in my community that believed in me enough to pour into me to the wisdom to make it happen.
So, it sounds like you saw a need and you decided to fill that need. Now, I know we haven't got into it yet, and as you can tell, the young lady is very humble. She has more degrees than a thermometer, so she's very educated. And we happened to run across each other when I was out vacationing, and she was doing major big things, and we just started up a conversation. And I was like, "Hey, this young lady is someone else that I would love to showcase." Any of you who watch the channel, you know my mission is to empower women financially, being a girl dad and having three daughters in home with me right now. So anytime I can find a young sister, a young queen that's doing something, I definitely want to highlight and showcase the greatness that they're doing. So the AI revolution is becoming somewhat controversial, and you actually kind of mentioned it when you said it's going to replace like receptionist jobs. And I remember years ago, I went to a meeting and it was hosted by an AI sponsor in the financial sector. And the gentleman who was over that, he said, "I want to thank the young ladies who put all this together." And then he flippantly said, "Okay, now this technology is actually going to be replacing you guys pretty soon." And I was like, wow, he was dead spot on with that. So, how does that make you feel? Or it's like, hey, people have to step their game up because times are totally changing.
Well, I would say it, on the contrary of what you probably might believe I feel, I don't like it. I don't like it at all because AI is not only taking jobs, but it's impacting the way that we live to this moment right now. Because when you think about AI generation, we might not think about the tons and tons of water that goes into creating AI. It's gonna soon replace our water system. It's gonna soon deplete our water systems to the point where water will be hard to find, or what they would call now day zero, when we run out of water, and the government will stop letting us use water as far as tap, and that day is on its way because of AI. It takes trillions of gallons of water to operate it, and with every three searches you do on AI, that equates a water bottle. So to have that thought at the same time, it's not a good feeling, but if I don't have the money, which equals the power to be able to stop, well, to be able to support my people throughout these times, then it's going to be the wrong people on the other side of the coin. It's going to happen at one point in time, so I might as well be on the side of building it up, because if I don't, there will be no jobs for me to get to that point.
You know what? You just said something. I used to work for a large wirehouse, and one of the senior advisors, he would come to me and say, Reynard, I know everybody around here know that you have a strong support for your people and that you really want to do big things and see your people advance financially. And he looked at me and said, son, the best way you can do that is to make a lot of money. He said, then you can give back to your people in the community and the charities that you find necessary. And that hit me like a load of bricks. A lot of times we're worrying about isolating and probably putting people off to the side. But if we don't have any resources, we will be those people as well. So we have to go back to, we have to own our own shit. And then that way we can control the narrative. So yeah, that was very, very insightful of you to think of that. So with the Sondera Group, what separates you from someone else who say, okay, well, I'm doing the same thing?
Well, I think it's my values in my business is why I'm doing something that's different. And I'm also trying to cater to older people, or the elderly, because a lot of times they're not used to having a robot on the phone. Well, my system caters to the audience in general so that the older group will be able to understand what the AI is saying. And it's going to be easier to have those conversations with that demographic, as versus the younger demographic. They're used to having AI systems or artificial intelligence, so it is easier for them, and they don't really think about how it can impact someone who might not be used to it like that. So my difference is my why. Like, I'm trying to make the communication easier, and also having that consideration. I think it goes a long way, especially in this day and age where everything's moving along so fast.
Well, again, you're spot on because we had a conversation yesterday that was a couple hours, and and I'm one of them old people, and so you explained some things to me and made it so simple. And I'm like, okay, because I go to the YouTube channels and I hear a lot of people talking about AI, and I'm like, oh, okay, and and sometimes I get frustrated because I'm like, I just don't get it. I don't understand it. But you made it so easy to comprehend. You made it not threatening, and you actually gave me motivation to embrace it more. And so yeah, I appreciate that. And so you're right. It's your passion and the way you go about doing business that I was really drawn to. And I'm like, you know what? I actually want to see how me and this young lady can form partnerships and do different things because of the integrity. And I think that's paramount when doing business. And you've exuded that, and I'm looking forward to the future of what we can accomplish together. So the other thing,
Likewise.
and everybody who watches the channel, we talk about some of our big successes, we talk about some of our failures, but we try to keep it authentic and let you know everything isn't peaches and cream. And so we have ups and downs. And so with that being said, what has been one of your biggest challenges in this arena and business as a whole?
The biggest challenge I would say is shifting my mindset. Everything you do starts off with the way that you think about the world around you and the way that you think about yourself. You have to have that perspective as if you are going to succeed, and there's just steps that you have to take in order to get there. Being an African American woman, there might be more steps, But despite of all the challenges, is whether you're willing to keep on taking those steps forward and progressing your company into getting to that level that you need to be.
That's awesome. Now, and conversely, what has been some of your biggest wins?
Something that's been my biggest win would be just having a village around me to be able to pour into me and see my vision. And I remember going to coffee chats and events, and I was nervous, but I was pitching this idea in a room of people who already have established businesses, and this was my first time kind of showing them like my product. And they were just so amazed by it and enlightened by it. And you would have some of them tell stories of, hey, I went to get a locksmith for my car, and when the guy came to unlock my car, he told me I was speaking to an AI agent on the phone instead of a person, and I had no idea. And they just see real life examples of seeing my product being used in everyday life, and then they're like, oh, this is the example, this is the opportunity where I can have this for my company. I can't answer the phone, or I'll hear situations where it'll be a lady, she has to answer the phone for her husband's limo service company, but she's in a hospital. She has cancer. So it's like it's hard for her to be able to answer the phone, talk to the customers, and she's weak. And sometimes she's crying through her conversations. And knowing that I have a product that will be able to alleviate that side of his business so he can actually have his wife rest, which is what she needs to do at this moment. So the wins were seeing that my product can actually help people. And with anything that you have a passion in, you want it to be able to serve others. And I feel like inversely that serves me because that's the reason why I do this, so I can be able to open um what is it, a nonprofit organization in the future and be able to pour back into my community. And if my product, if my sale can pour into people and they see the value in it, then that makes it all worth it.
And that goes back to your integrity and your passion. Now, let's go into some of the things that you were discussing with me yesterday as far as sometimes people look at things as a cost to doing business, but how you actually look at things as when you're talking to potential clients as an investment, as far as you look and analyze their business and show them the money that you're going to help them recoup slash save by having this automation and using your product.
Right. So I love to look at it as I have to find how my business can value the next business. That's the premise of me searching for an industry to get into. I thought, how can I make the person that I'm serving money? So with that being the foundation of how I started this, because I knew if to have a successful product, it needed to work and it needed to work fast. And the best way you can have something that works fast is if you can show somebody guaranteed profits that they will make based off of a simple factor that, I mean, we might not think about every day. As we were in different meetings, as me and my other partners were in different meetings, like one of my partner brought up the fact that he had calls going on and he wasn't able to answer it, and they were potentially business calls, calls that can land him some money. And you think of companies like HVAC companies or dentist offices where people go on Google to search for different services, they're gonna look for the first one that picks up. They're interchangeable. I don't know the difference between a plumber named Paul versus a plumber named Saul. I mean, they're two different guys, two different companies. But I mean, if the ratings are good, I'm gonna go search for them and I'm gonna get them. But if you have two companies that both have 4 stars, you're gonna go with the one that picks up first. So knowing that I can show that statistic within how many missed calls that you have. Okay, well, what is the percentage of calls that turn into business? Okay, now let's calculate how much money I could have made you just by having my system within your receptionist, or it can be built in as something that buffers the receptionist if they're at work. then that my system can take over. So that way you won't miss any calls. So it's cool being able to show people, hey, I can save you this much. Let's do business. And it makes it more of a mutually beneficial agreement versus just a sale.
That's awesome. So, and I hear, and I kind of know the answers because we had this question, but this conversation. How important is it to you to make sure that you're serving our community and enlightening us and turning us on to this wonderful new world of AI?
I think it's extremely important. And you can ask my coworkers. I go to work and I talk about it. I try to I say I'm not going to be working here for long because what I'm doing will provide more than enough income for me to sustain myself. I'm giving you nuggets while I'm here to help you to get out of this because it's really the mental freedom. Our people has been through so much systematic oppression that it has caused us to be in a caged mindset. We don't really think above the surroundings of our environment. So it's kind of like a Rose in Harlem type of thing. Like you have to be able to overcome the obstacles around you and the cage that the government systematically put on us to be less than or to not be as smart as or to be ghetto or to be ratchet, like different words that categorize the Black community that kind of can it can cause people to be stuck in that and feel like this is all I amount to. But when you enlighten people about who they are, the history of all the things that we've invented, who the GPS system was invented by a Black woman, we can talk about so many things that we have done once we're able to believe in ourselves. So the best thing that I do wherever I go, I pour into them by how I speak to them, and I also pour into the idea of me coming up with a class um to teach them. So that's my next steps in my partnership with another guy that's really endowed into entrepreneurship. So we're gonna create a class teaching young Black college students how to navigate through AI in order to make it profitable for them. So these are little things that I do in my time just so I can make a change in the little way that I can. And everyone can be a person to inspire someone. So it's just all about the fact of someone in your circle, someone in your community saying that you can do it.
So, what does Black excellence mean to you?
Black excellence it starts with us being the idea of the bottom. It starts with that perception of our community being at the bottom of the barrel. But when you succeed as someone who's looked at that level, it creates Black excellence because there's nothing but excellence that can cause you to be able to think of amongst all the oppression that you will go through in your life systematically or just subtle gestures. When people look at you or lock your car door as you're walking by, it's different mental abuse that you go through, and to be able to overcome that amount, all those obstacles. Everyone has obstacles, but the thing that makes it so great when we overcome is because of our position in the hierarchy of society. We are at the bottom. So in America, if you see a Black person succeed, you know that they've been through so many hurdles and so many obstacles that the base level of people, anybody that is a different ethnicity or race might be able to get away with or have some type of privilege to. But knowing that we can't have that privilege, it puts it in a whole different ball game when you see a Black person succeed, when you see actors up there that look like us, when you see a president that's running the country that looks like us. It's different. So I think that's what encompasses the Black excellence.
And so you kind of answered the next question I was going to ask you. And this is a real question that we face a lot, especially me being an older cat than this when I came up. How do you overcome the stereotypes that's embedded with us when you have other African Americans saying, "Oh, I don't do business with black folks." And it
Mhm.
goes back to when you mentioned like the wretchedness and all that. How do you and how did you overcome those kind of stereotypes if you were faced with any of those?
Well, it starts with your mind. You are who you think you are. And that's as simple as that. You can trust people at base level. If they didn't misuse your trust, then you set up a boundary. But I feel like to come at someone, especially of your community and your skin complexion, and automatically think less of them because they are a reflection of who you are, I feel like that's self-hate. I feel like you have to come to everyone as just, hey, this is my name's Amari, your name is Ray. Nice to meet you. Build from there. Anything in that's embedded in you that says I'm gonna look at him a different type of way was embedded by slavery. So we got to think away from that box of I'm just not gonna deal with black folk because they this and they're gonna be late and they're gonna all these stereotypes is what people that I know that are black and that are successful work hard to show people that they are not that. And it makes that excellence more excellence, the fact that you can overcome that as well. But at the same time, it just becomes a drag down. So we have to start uplifting each other, like genuinely. When are we gonna start coming together as a community, helping each other build? There's a sense of individualism within the Black community. Oh, my my this, my that. Like other communities we see all the time come together. We see Jewish people come together in the same household, become millionaires together, then branch off. We see all these communities that can come together, but when it comes to us, it sometimes it seems like it's a strain for that ability to be able to cope. It's always a conflict. How do we get out of that mindset? And it starts with building emotional intelligence. And it starts with understanding who you are as a person and loving yourself enough to be able to pour into other people.
Well, you nailed it, and you mentioned something earlier when you said the mental abuse and then the mental drain, because it is draining to know that you have to show up twice, three, four, five times better than your counterparts, and to have to carry that burden and that weight on saying that, okay, well, me and someone else could be equally qualified or equally gifted into certain knowledge or skill set, but based on my hue, I'm going to have to be exponentially greater and better and superior than this individual just to get a fair shot. So I think society as a whole don't really understand how daunting and how draining that can be and how it can take away your creativity and your flow. And a lot of people who don't have that intestinal fortitude gives up because they're like, man, this is just too much to overcome. And so, yeah, that's a problem that we carry on that a lot of people take for granted based on their ethnicity. And you're right, slavery did a hell of a job on conditioning us in a negative way. And so I'm glad to see that you're focused on community and perpetuating a positive enlightenment and building the village around you. So that's awesome. So, what do you want your legacy to be when it's all said and done?
I have an interesting take on legacy.
Okay.
I don't care for it. I feel like everyone should live in their purpose, and I believe in God. So I feel like as long as I'm here to serve God, my legacy is His legacy. They will say someone who believed in a higher power was here, someone who walked with a higher power was here. I don't care if my name is attached to it. As long as I see the results, as long as I can help people, as long as I see that I was able to put food in someone's stomach, I was able to give someone water while they were thirsty. I was able to give somebody shelter when they were homeless. If I can see myself do those things, then I don't need a legacy. That itself is the legacy. God is the legacy. So my mindset is a little different. I was asked that in college as well, and I came up with the same. I'm like, no, I don't care about that. So it's interesting being asked that years later. I still feel the same way.
And that's awesome. And it goes back to what I said about ego, edging God out. And so by
Hmm.
you putting God at the forefront and being a strong representative of him, things will come and work out to be the way they're supposed to be. And so, with that being said, we're winding down, and oh boy, before we do that, is there anything before we wrap things up that you want the audience to know? Any new projects you have coming up? Definitely drop how people can get in touch with you, provide your website, and then I'll have my final question after you provide anything like that.
All right. So just my main source of communication contact, just email me at amari@sondoragroup.com. I'll be more than happy to answer any question, any inquiries about what I do, and I'll include the document with the website within the email. Um, it's just been a pleasure to be on a platform wherever I can spread positivity to the Black community, and definitely on a level where it's encouraging. If there was anything that I can just say to all the people on your platform is look at the perspective of things in Sonder, which is why my company is called Sondera Group. Because the root word Sonder means that everyone has a completely unique, different life that is just as complex as yours. And being able to understand that perspective changes everything. I don't judge someone based off of how they were brought up. They were brought up differently than me. There's things that I learned that they didn't learn. There's things that they learned that I never learned. That process within itself of being able to understand that in someone else, it helps you to not judge them as much, and it helps you to want to have more empathy towards them. Um,
And so you kind of read in my mind. So my last question was going to be, what do you want the audience to take away with Amari, Sondora Group, and just, can recap the vision and things of that nature, but what do you want the audience to walk away with knowing about you and your company?
just to know that we're authentic, we're genuine, and we work with you. And it's been a pleasure to be on your platform. It's been a pleasure to be able to have this opportunity. Um, And just, I mean, what I kind of already said it with Sonder, like what it means to me and why I named the company that. But it's definitely something that is prevalent and relevant in my life. I live by that and I see people in that lens. And I feel like that's what makes my company different. A lot of people in business will categorize you. I've taken classes for different companies I work for to categorize other people. Oh, this person is older. You have to talk to them like this. Just the different stereotypes that they feed into to talk to someone with slang. I've been taught that by a company. And it burned my soul to say, like, why would you want to speak to a African American this way and then speak to a white person this way? But I'm like, oh, they're just trying to make a sale. They're not caring about, well, what if they're different? What if they're not your stereotypical person? So I feel like just being able to see the whole picture and not just a lens of what you're supposed to see.
Boy, you have me smiling because I sit up here and I think and I talk to my daughters. I'm like, every time I turn around and I see someone and they're trying to market to a black audience, they even have them rapping, they're singing, they're over the top, a lot of buffoonery sometime, and I'm like, that's not us. It's a certain segment of our community, like it is in everyone's community, but that dirty, dirty, stereotypical stain really is something that annoys me. But on a more positive note, because I can get riled up and we can go on that for hours, please be on the lookout because me and Amari got big things coming. You guys will be very impressed, blown away, and shocked but we have some stuff that's coming down the pipeline, and this old man is going to utilize the skills of that young lady, and she is going to do big things for not only the Sondera Group, but for WHTOOO. So be on the lookout for amazing things. Amari, it was a pleasure having you. I look forward to our continued relationship and development. And thank you so much. And take care. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care now.
All right, bye.
So
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, we